Hello, everyone, and greetings to everybody. I'm your host, Avis Raza, and welcome to this webinar. So, before we start this webinar session, I would be glad to tell you all. Sorry, I would like to tell you all the process how this webinar will be conducted. So, this webinar has three parts. In the first part, we will have presentation by Ma'am Anita, and after that, will have a live Q&A session. So live Q&A session, we will first have questions from the registration form, which will already given in the registration forms. So we will try to answer them, and after that we will have live Q&A session. So in live Q&A session, you can all comment in live chat, and we will try to answer your questions from there. And after the live question session ends, I will be telling you a certificate distribution process and how you can become eligible for receiving the certificate. So I will further tell you in detail how to get your certificate, and for that you will have to watch till the end. And when I will tell you the process, you have to follow all the procedures, and then you will be eligible to receive the certificates. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Anita. Okay, hello, ma'am. Welcome.
Hello, Awais. I'm so happy to be here today to present this topic, and I welcome everybody also. I hope this webinar will give you a little insight into my perspective about it. You may be a teacher, you may be a student, you may be somebody just interested in learning about what's the latest uh, research, the latest things we are doing nowadays in the classrooms. Okay, so let's go straight to the topic. Right, can you see it? The learner-centered and inclusive English classroom. I'm Anita Mangar, and I've done my degree in English, and I've just finished my master's in education. And I would like to share with you some things about the learner-centered inclusive English classroom. By the end of this presentation, you would have an idea what it is. You'd be able to plan for classes. You'd be able to apply theories. You'd be able to generate differentiated English lessons, assess some aspects of classroom management, and build a caring, sharing classroom community. Now, when we enter a classroom, we would have learners that are so different. There would be differences in learning styles, differences in backgrounds, differences in learning levels, developmental levels. They have difficulties in learning. They have come with past experiences. Maybe they have some knowledge, maybe they don't. They have social experiences, they have needs, and maybe they'd have some behavior problems also. The answer to this is having a classroom that focuses on learners. Okay, so we talk about English skills. In an English class, there are the skills of reading, writing, listening, speaking, and of course, vocabulary and grammar. And speaking and writing are the productive skills, and reading and listening are the receptive skills. Here are some tips for teachers. Incorporate all the skills in each lesson, preferably. So that would be like covering all the bases. Be flexible and be creative. What is a learner-centered classroom? Well, very often our classrooms are teacher-centered. So now the focus is shifted to the learners. The learners control their learning. By this, I mean they have a choice in it. The learner's goals and interests are taken into account. The skills and strengths of the learners are also considered. A sense of community is built up. Cooperative and collaborative learning takes place. It's inclusive. Everyone forms part of the class. And you have any level. This is one of the definitions of an inclusive classroom. A classroom where everyone feels welcome, accepted, safe, cared for, and able to take risks. By this, I mean they are not afraid to make mistakes. So let's get to the learner differences. You know about, you've heard probably about Gardner's multiple intelligences theory. Everybody knows about this. Why do we need it? Okay, it's a basis for helping learners reach their potential. It gives you a scope of what they can do. Knowing this, you can make them motivated and engaged, and it provides direction. Now, you can have a look at the figure, and it has all the different intelligences. You would find this in your classroom, in your learners. Here's another one. It's called Learning Styles, or the acronym VARK: Visual, Oral, Reading, Writing, and Kinesthetic. Why is it important? Well, it's based on the research work of psychologist Jean Piaget, and it was customized by Fleming and Mills, and it is based on basic sensory receivers. If you have a look at this figure, you can see it clearly describes what each kind of learning style is. Let's look at some strategies to cater for these learning styles. Visual learners, you could use graphic organizers, highlight text, or color code. I'd like to add a little note here about highlighting text. It depends on the level of your learners, and preferably if your learners are younger or in primary school, highlighting with colored pencils is better. Because I've had the experience of making children highlight with highlighters, and it bleeds onto the other page. So you can color code, you can make use of maps, charts, visual note taking. Visual note taking also includes doodling. It's also called doodling. Now you have the auditory learning style. These would like discussions, group pairs, pair work, record and review, presentations, Flipgrid. I'm sure you must have heard of Flipgrid, which is online. And then there's read aloud. You can create tunes and rhythms and new material. For those who are kinesthetic learners, role play would suit them, taking notes, word association with gesture or movement. This is a questionnaire that you would find on the net. I have used this with my students, and the questions are quite exhaustive and they pinpoint all your different learning styles. As a teacher, it would help you because you would get to know what are the different learning styles in your class and how many have watched which style. So the advantages would be you'd identify preferences of the learners. For an educator, you could vary your teaching depending on their styles. This would bring about student engagement, and this would give you some flexibility. However, let me point this out too, because I've been reading about this, and there are drawbacks and criticisms. People say that it's restrictive, and at times you may not have one clear style, you may have a combination of styles. Besides, they say there's not enough research being done on it. Okay. Now we come to the CEFR for English, the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, Learning, Teaching, and Assessment. On the top here, you have the founding partners that have made out this with in association with the CEFR. This is based on 40 plus years of research by the Council of Europe of Modern Languages Division. It's a reference tool for practitioners working in English education. It helps to develop curriculum, course material, teaching guide, and for assessment. It describes, which acts as a guide. It spells out learner profiles, the competencies in grammar, speaking, writing, and level descriptors. This is the level descriptors that we have. It's a guide what each level can do. Most of the time, you would have learners who are, oh dear. Most of the time, you would have learners that are of the B1 level, which is an intermediate level. Now you can see how it compares to IELTS. If you're teaching IELTS, it's very, very helpful because I have taught IELTS and you can see how it compares. As I said, most of the time you would have between B1 and B2. I have given a course on business English and customer care skills. My job was to bring my students from the B1 level up to the B2 level in the space of 5 weeks. I did it. How did I do it? As I was telling you earlier, there are descriptors for the different things like grammar, speaking, everything. I followed that and I knew what they had to know to come up to the next level. So accordingly, I worked with them based on these descriptors. You can see how it compares to other things. Yeah. Now, I'd like to go into the theories that drive and inspire a learner-centered classroom and inclusive too. There's cognitivism. We have Jean Piaget and Albert Bandura. Constructivism, Jerome Bruner. We have social constructivism, Lev Vygotsky. And we have the humanistic one, Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers, which is all the level of needs that each one needs. So let's come to cognitivism. Cognitivism focuses on thought, on mental processes, being creative and critical. Metacognition, which is thinking about thinking. It means thinking about your thought process. It boosts engagement and motivation. There's thinking, there's memory, there's knowing, there's problem solving. How could you implement that in the classroom? Here are some strategies. Presentations, explaining a problem, think aloud, teach it to others. Make errors, yes. Ask questions. Who, what, why, when, how, we know that. And then this would refine your thought process and lead to self-reflection. And of course, mind maps. Mind maps are very, very useful for planning things. And you could even add a mind map into your presentation. Cognitive psychology and learning speeds and styles. I'd like to give you a little bit of a podcast that I was listening to. So we have Ulrich Nasser, and he said that the human mind was like a computer. It depended on your input, the storage, and then the output. It's the forming of schemas which help process and understand information. Now let's talk about inclusive teaching. Dr. Barbara Oakley has written a book called Uncommon Sense Teaching: Practical Insights in Brain Science to Help Students Learn. She said that there are two kinds of students. The ones that who are intelligent are like race drivers. They rush past without attending to details and just go straight on forward. Then she said there are the ones who are the slower learners, who make mistakes but carry on. They are the ones that look at the countryside, if you like, learn, and are flexible. So they would need a lot of scaffolding that's breaking up information into smaller portions. Now we come to constructivism. These are the principles. Knowledge is constructed individually. Interaction with the environment. So you've got to have some prior knowledge, and then you add your new knowledge to it to make some meaning out of it. You synthesize it and integrate it. It's goal-driven and it's reflective. Here you are some learning strategies to implement it into your classroom. Active learning, problem-based learning, flipped classroom, where you have the students read about something or research something on a topic which you're going to do in the class. Inquiry-based learning, pair work, cooperative learning. Social constructivism. Here are the principles. Learning is social. There's the zone of proximal development, where a student can, either with the help of another knowledgeable person or resource, can reach the next level. It needs scaffolding. You need support to move on to the next level. There's interaction with tools, science, symbols, language, and the environment. Here are some learning strategies: project-based learning, differentiated instruction, and peer tutoring. The humanistic approach. The focus is on the whole child as a person. It's a holistic way. Feelings and knowledge are taken into account. The student has a choice in daily activities and even their future goals. There's self-motivation and engagement. And the environment is safe, the environment of the classroom. Here are the learning strategies. The task that you give them should provide motivation and give them a choice. Group work with peers, cooperative learning, journaling, student agency, voice, and choice. I will go into student agency a little further on. Here's an approach that can be used in an English classroom. Communicative language teaching. It's a popular teaching approach based on the constructivist theory. Language is used for communication and interaction. It's both a method and a goal of teaching. So here are some practical ideas. Use realia. By this I mean objects or even pictures that they can see or things that they can touch. Focus is on functional language, language that you would use. Role play and drama works very well with all ages and levels. Talk show interview, news reporting, and there's another activity called objectified. Objectified is when Somebody is given a group a sentence or a thing, and they have to describe that to the rest of the class. So it's a guessing game. And they have to use all the words possible and sentences possible to describe so that the others could guess it. What's the role of the teacher or the educator? It's student centered, yes, but you need the teacher too. It's, the teacher is a facilitator and a guide. The teacher provides support, encourages the learner driven learning. You encourage them to keep learning on their own, to discover things on their own. The teacher creates real world, authentic experiences. The teacher uses tech to personalize learning. Now we come to differentiation. Caroline Tomlinson has spoken about differentiation and she has given practical ways to use it. It means catering to all the different learners in your class. Is it difficult? No. It doesn't mean that you have to go and make different lesson plans for each kind of level, for each kind of student. No. Let's see how it's done. First, you do a needs analysis, okay? According to your students, their readiness, their interest, and the learning profile. Know your students. Give them surveys, forms, conduct interviews, check on the family, the school history, observations, assessments. You can do this at different times during the school year or your course. However, keep in mind that it depends on the level of your students. Some things would work with smaller ones, something would work with older students. How can teachers differentiate? Their content, process, and the product. Let's go on to see how it can be done. Content. What is to be learned? You vary the level. So you give the learners a choice of topic according to their interest. So you give them a whole list and they can choose. The input, demonstrations, books, pictures, realia. You vary the tasks depending on the level and the support you give them. Depends on the preparedness of your students. So if they would need more help, you make them make word lists, have a word bank, sentence starters. It depends on your students. Use the same topic or that you're giving them, or maybe it's a passage for writing. Everybody's working on the same passage, but each one is using different questions because of the level. Adjust according to the feedback you get. Process. How? You give material in advance, you break them up into smaller parts. Where? Have flexible movement, flexible seating where movement can take place easily. With whom? Grouping, same ability or mixed ability students. It can be done online in breakout rooms. You can give different assignments per group. Differentiation through product. How learning is demonstrated. If you like, this is the assessment. You can give them different roles, responsibilities, the group work, presentations. Challenge the learners with giving them more responsibility to do research at home, vary the questions, and the oral responses. Advantages of a learner centered classroom. It's relevant, access to information and resources. So everything is connected to the real world and within the experience of your students. The learner's goals are considered. They have a voice to express ideas and opinions. They can independently solve problems and make decisions. More advantages. It's fun, enjoyable, motivating. Definitely better than sitting with a textbook and learning from a textbook. They gain a knowledge and understanding of themselves. They have a control over their learning. They take a sense of responsibility. They adapt to the future, which is a changing world. It instills empathy and a sense of community, and you can adapt it to any level. Now, here's a topic that everybody talks about, right? Classroom management. Group work, activities are noisy. The teachers say, oh, we can't do this because it's going to make too much of noise, it's going to disturb the other classes. However, here are some rules that work because I have tried it when I've been teaching. Establish rules and consequences with learner input, written and signed by learners. If your learners are younger, you can make out a list and put it up in your classroom and remind them every day of what the rules are. Group work and discussions, remember, cannot be done in total silence. However, there should be a certain level which is tolerable. Change grouping frequently. If you're in breakout rooms in Zoom, you can do it online. Delegate responsibility in each group. So you would have a manager, a scribe, a spokesperson, or reporter in each group. Move around as the teacher. Listen. Offer assistance. And as I do, I move around and I overhear conversations, I overhear comments, and you could learn a lot from it. The inclusive English classroom. Let's get to a bit about inclusivity. Accommodating learners with learning disabilities. Please include them. Don't keep them separate from the others. Help them with guided note taking, with brain breaks, with short breaks to do a little physical activity or something. Systematic instruction. Explain what is expected of them. Explicit instruction. Activity based learning. Interculturality. I have used this in my class. Okay, so this is teaching English through many cultures. Learn about other cultures. Reflect on one's own culture. Culture of other countries where English is a native language, which would be the target culture. Include different cultures. So that means English all around the world. Social and emotional learning. Through all of this, we must focus also on social and emotional learning. It increases self awareness, academic achievement, and positive behavior. As you can see, there's self management, self awareness, responsible decision making, relationship skills, social awareness. Empathy is something I would emphasize. In my classroom, I have done it, and you can do it too. Empathy is needed. Here we come back to student agency. Student agency is giving students a voice and choice, both. So this makes them more motivated. They gain satisfaction in their learning, and as a result, are likely to achieve academic success. You can see here there's the growth mindset, and they take ownership of their learning. Build a class community. Okay, start on a positive note. Every day when you enter the classroom, have some positive things to say to them. They must know their neighbor. Find out about them. Help them. Encourage mentoring. Model positive behavior. And when somebody achieves something, celebrate it. reinforce it. Here are some final thoughts. Know your learners, build meaningful, trusting relationships with them. Very, very important. Tailor your instruction and assessment to suit their needs and levels. Create space for powerful learning experiences. Here are some references which you can have read through if you have some time. Thank you for being here, everyone, and you're welcome to give me your questions. Yes, Awais?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much for such a comprehensive and useful presentation. And like I can see a lot of audience engaged during the session. So let's just ask them to like note down their questions for now. So everyone who is watching the webinar live right now, you may write your questions, but hold them for a while because first we will be having some questions from the registration forms, and after we get those questions are answered, then we will be getting the live questions from you. All right. So these are the questions which were asked in the registration form. There were also others, but these are the most relevant to the topic. So the first question goes, how can we know that the classroom is ready for a learner-centered like approach and inclusive English class environment?
Okay. When you find that there's no interest in the class, when you find that students are talking too much, maybe they're not doing their work, they're not achieving what you want them to do, when there's chaos, then you know that they're ready for this. Okay. And the next one, what a needs analysis questionnaire for students should include for building? Okay, so it would include maybe I have put there already your work. It would include how they learn, what they're interested in, their interest, because depends on the level of your students. You could ask those kind of questions. Okay, next one,
All right.
Wise.
So the next question is, does the learner-centered approach help students to develop their critical thinking skills as well as enhance their self-confidence?
Yes, it does. I have put it already in my presentation because they're going to be working in groups, plus they're going to be working on their own. So they do think, and there is a thought process, okay? Questioning, explaining, teaching others, all of this will help them.
All right, very well. So, okay, so everyone, now we are ready for some live question answers. So please write your questions in the live chat. Uh, all right. So yes. So if you cannot find the live chat, so make sure you are watching directly from YouTube application on your mobile, or if you are watching on YouTube from your laptop, then make sure you are on the website www.youtube.com, and then you are watching this webinar. If you are watching from third party, for example in Gmail, sometimes it pops up in Gmail. Uh, so if you are watching there, you won't be able to see the live chat. And if you are on YouTube app or YouTube website where you cannot see the live chat, then make sure you are logged into your Google account so that so then you will be able to see it. All right. So okay, so we have the question: how can we help the introverts in learner-centered class? For example, when discussion time comes.
Okay. First, do not label them as introverts. Okay? They may be shy. Arrange your groups as such where you can mix them with others. Okay, they make friends, you're developing a classroom community, you develop a relationship with them, they make friends. I tell you, these introverts can come out. They can talk among their friends, discussion time. It can be done. It will take time, maybe more than others, but it can be done.
All right. So the tip is that make them sit with their friends so
Their
they can
friends.
start talking. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So now we have another question uh, from Vanessa. How can we ensure inclusivity in a classroom if there are so many students in one class? Let's say there are 50 students
First, you're going to
in a
find
large
out what are
class.
their, sorry. First, you're going to find out what are their interests, what are their needs, and accordingly, you differentiate your classes. Have group work, have pair work, all this will help. 50
All right.
students, yes, but arrange your seating. At one stage, talked about seating. Arrange it as such so that you can have your group work going on. You will have to go from group to group to see that everything is going well.
All right. So the tip here is that make groups, or and like then.
Arrange the
Uh,
seating as such, yes.
all right. Very well. So now we have a question that what particular strategy will be employing if one of our students doesn't want to work with other. Like there are some students who don't want to work in groups.
Look, at the beginning, I said about establishing rules for classroom management. Okay, at that stage, this has to be one of your rules. Get
Okay. So,
them, get
mm,
them to give you this rule. Question them, and it will come out. See, what happens if somebody doesn't want to work with others? What would we do? They will give you the answers, put it into a rule, and remind them of this.
all right. So we have to like make rules in the classroom before the class starts, so like they cannot say
Yes.
that we do not want
We
to
do
work
not
together.
know and we did not agree. If they are big enough, make them sign it.
Hmm.
And if they're small, I have seen it being done in pre primary school. I was in the class, it was done. And kids know that this is their limit, this is what they have to do. And if there's a problem, take the child aside, student aside, talk to them, find out. It may take time, but it will work.
All right. So the other question is, how does a typical learner-centered and inclusive English classroom looks like?
It looks like a classroom that is working in groups or pairs. Everyone is busy. There's a buzz, no silence. There's a constant buzz. People are busy doing activities. Okay, we are not all doing the same thing at the same time. We're doing different activities in different ways.
All right. So it's a busy class. Like
A
everybody
busy
is doing
class.
something
Everyone
in.
is busy doing something, it's activity based. We are doing things to learn.
All right.
Let me point out here
Mm-hmm.
the teacher must prepare. Be creative in the activities that you prepare for them. Prepare three or four, make them choose. When they have a choice, they feel that they own it. Okay, they have ownership of it. So they made the choice.
All right. So now we have a question: how can we cater for different like learner styles? Maybe they are in a group, but like all of them have different styles of learning. So how can we like uh, deal with?
Uh, this is in the instruction or in the, I think it was in my presentation. I had given some strategies.
Mm-hmm.
So you may have a combination of styles. I think that's what maybe it is. You may have a combination of styles. So have work that caters to the different things.
Like you
It's
just
some of
said,
the
we have
strategy.
four different skills, so a teacher need to like somehow include all those language skills in his classroom or in his
I would
schedule.
really recommend you go on that VARC questionnaire,
Mm.
and it has details. They're not straightforward questions, and it has details, and it can give you some insight into what kind of things you should be doing. Okay, like not just things like watching movies, but there's more to it. Go on it. It's on the web.
All right. So, what should the teacher do to improve the abilities of learners while applying multiple intelligence theory?
By incorporating it in lessons, in your classes.
Mhm. Okay. So, is student-centered learning applicable for preschoolers?
Oh, yes, it is. It's applicable for any level. Okay, you bring it to your level. If you're used to teaching preschoolers, do it. I've just explained to you about classroom management. I'm sure activities also you can bring it to their level.
So, your question in topics where you find students don't have a prior knowledge, how best can you break through the topics since it's a learner-centered approach and they have to do much work for themselves?
Okay, I hope they have access to internet. You can use the flipped classroom where you give them the topic before and let them do a bit of research and reading before they come to the class to have some prior knowledge.
Mhm. So, as a new teacher, to know the student's abilities and be able to help them reach their potential, is it okay to let the students take the multiple intelligence test? I also heard in
It
some areas
is
that it's not allowed to give this test.
in some areas not allowed. I haven't heard of it being allowed either. It's
Hmm.
just used as a guide and that's it. I don't know. It
All right.
depends on the country, I suppose.
Okay. So, if in the country it is allowed, then it might help. Otherwise, it's not
Otherwise,
recommended.
yeah.
All right.
And remember, there's no hard and fast rule.
Hmm.
It depends on your class. I have said at the end there, know your class, know your classroom. Okay. And maybe you would find them changing throughout the year. So from time to time, like you're doing an assessment, find out.
All right. So here is a question like a learner-centered approach may consume students' energy and drain them since they are the ones in charge of their learning and meaning making. Should we always use a learner-centered approach?
Yes, you should. And it won't drain them. If it's related to their interests and they are interested in those topics, it won't. And they're given a voice. So that means voice and choice, both.
Hmm.
So it should not drain them. And remember, we are not looking towards making little parrots who can just repeat. We want them to think for themselves. It's not going to be draining.
Okay, so this is a different kind of question. regarding teachers, what would be your advice on a lecturer who naturally has a calm voice? I think it's
Is this
regarding like control in the classroom and
okay? Control in the classroom. You have a calm voice. You are not to shout. Anyway, you are not to shout above them to get attention. You can do what I have done. Has worked so well, but it was in primary school, but you could use it. The first time you say one, two, you count to three. At the count of three, you tell them before, I'm going to count to three. At the count of three, everyone has to be quiet, total silence. Count one, two, three, whatever, nobody listens to you. You just stand and look at them with the sternest face you have. Do not move. Eventually, somebody will be aware that something is not right, and they will just, everyone will keep the others quiet. They will just say, shh, something's wrong. Okay? For primary school children, one, two, three counting. At the end of it, I just use one, two, and then three. Not a word is said. So you progress, but they know you mean business. Please do not shout. You will get tired and it's not going to work. Or you can have other things like eyes on the board, where you just take your marker and tap on the board and they know eyes have to be on the board. These are different ways. Calm voice, good for you. Stern face, better.
all right. So now the question comes of evaluation. How should we evaluate in this kind of approach if the activities are more on collaboration? So how
Okay,
can we?
then you would have to make out your assessment.
Mm,
Okay, I cannot say that for your level. You would have to work this out, whether it's going to be an observation, whether it's going to be a written test, how you're going to do it, you evaluate. You can evaluate a presentation, you know that?
mm,
You can give that also. You can have rubrics, up to you.
right. Okay, so now I think we will take uh, two more questions, or maybe three, three more questions, and then we will be like,
Okay.
there have been a lot of questions, so I think
I can see that.
it would be fine. We will conclude with last three questions. All right. So, how can inclusive practices be incorporated in high school settings, and how can parents become involved?
Okay. High school settings. It's the same thing, but bring it up to the level of high school. Okay. How can parents become involved? Let them know. Maybe have a parents' meeting and let them know what's this new approach and what they're supposed to do, what the children are being given to do, high school, and what's the kind of work. Maybe you're giving them some research work to do and everything. Let them know. So have a little meeting, get the parents involved. Maybe send a little report to them.
All right. Okay. So we have another question. Unlike teachers used teaching models among school levels, how can a professor make an university student interact apart from giving lectures and teach effectively in class?
Okay, so at this level, university level, it would be lectures which are normally given. Have the students do presentations. I've done it with the business English, where I've given them a case study, like a business case study, and they've worked on it in groups.
Mm,
So, being English, they learned the vocabulary, they learned grammar, they learned about the business part of setting up a business online. This was the business case study that they had been given. So, a university professor needs, I think, besides just always the lecture, I suppose the lecture is the most common thing that's done. But then have them do presentations on topics related to the main topic. Because most often, university students, their presentation skills really, really need improvement. Okay.
All right. So now we will just take take a last question, and let's just see. Okay. So, what is the required English learning level prior to a course on business English?
From the learners that I got, they were of the intermediate level. The very few exceptions were of the higher level and the lower intermediate. Okay, so intermediate is more or less the level.
All right.
That's a good one.
Hmm?
I
Yes.
use game based activities in tertiary level.
Yes. These are just comments, not
That's
questions.
good.
All right. All right. So we are done with the Q&A session, and again, thank you very much, Ms. Anita, for giving your time and sharing your valuable knowledge with all
You're
of us.
welcome.
And let's hope that we also have another session sometime in future with you on some
Oh,
other
sure.
topic. All right.
Oh, sure. Thank you for the invitation. I'll be back.
Yes, thank you very much. And would you like to give a message or some advice to the students or young researchers or the new teachers which are starting? So that would be really helpful.
Okay. The new teachers that are starting, please don't be afraid. You're going to get comments like, don't do that. We never do that. Okay? Be strong. Be convinced that what you're doing is right. You will get people criticizing whatever you do. Don't be afraid. Experience will teach you, and the students are there. Remember, you're not on your own. They themselves will guide you how to go along. Now, you were talking about research topics, right? I can't hear you. Okay,
Yes,
now I
the
am.
research
You were
topics.
talking about research topics. You can do things like how they learn, how learners learn, their different needs. And remember, there's one on the VARC. There's not enough research done on it. Go into it, do a case study, or go and get some data about it. Because as I told you, that's an area that's really a gray area. Go and find out. Okay.
All right. Again, thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us. And now we will just
I
end.
just want to add something.
Yes, yes, surely, surely. Please.
Okay, I have given an email address and it's on the slides. Will the
Mm-hmm.
slides be shared with them?
Yes, you can like share it with me, and then I can share it on the page and also in the groups.
Okay. And the next thing I want to tell you is please join my group, English Teachers Mauritius. Okay, I post opportunities, I post all kinds of things. It's not one for jobs as such, but it's things that you could learn, other webinars, other courses. You can get all of this from my group called English Teachers Mauritius.
All right, ma'am. You can give me the link of that group, and then I can also share it with all of them.
Okay, so I'm going to send that to you. I'm sending you the slides and I'm
Yeah,
sending you the link for the group on your
link for
WhatsApp.
them. Yeah,
Okay,
sure. I will be contacting you soon after this
okay.
webinar ends. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. So, thank you for watching till now. And as now we had our presentation, and we also went through the live Q&A session. Now I will be telling you the process through which you can get your well-deserved certificate. All right. So now let me just do. Okay. So now I have also put it on the screen, and now just let me tell you. All right. So first, I will be sharing a link with you in the live chat, and if you can still not see the live chat, then make sure you are on the YouTube application from your mobile device, and if you are on your laptop, then make sure you are on www.youtube.com, and then you are watching the webinar, then you will be able to see the live chat. And if still not, then make sure you are logged into your Gmail account, Google account, in your YouTube, so then you will be able to see the live chat. All right. So now what we will do is that I will be putting it in the live chat a link for the feedback form. You have to fill in your name, your email address, and feedback for me as a host, and feedback compliments for them, Anita, as well. Then when you fill it and submit it, you will also receive a copy on your Gmail account on which you have filled the form, right? So that's much about it. And if it's still you are facing some problem with the form, then you can just email us within 24 hours of this webinar. When the webinar ends, up till 24 hours, you can email us at linguistics and pedagogy webinars at gmail.com, and then I will send you the feedback form link over here on your email. All right. So now without further ado, let me just get the link, and then I will be commenting it in the live chat. All right. So feedback form link. All right. So now I have commented the feedback form link. And for the certificates, you will receive your certificates within a week. Like it can be within, you will be receiving it within a day or 2 or 3 days, 4 days. It might take up to a week, but not more than a week. All right. And we will also be sharing uh, that on our Facebook page, that we have sent all the certificates. So you can check out our Facebook page. It's also with the name Linguistics and Pedagogy Webinars. You can also find a link on our YouTube channel of the page. So that's all about it. Now I am sending the link in the live chat. Please get that link, fill the form. We have got 3 responses on the form so far. All right. And we also have another session coming up on 25th September, and we are also arranging another session on 18th September. So like we have 2 more sessions in this month, so you can also join them and learn from it. This is the link. It's available in the live chat. Please find it and fill the form. As you have said, I cannot see the link, so link is available in the live chat. Just where you have commented, there is also a link available. All right. So I think everything is clear. If you want to ask something, you can in the live chat. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining the session. We have got 52 responses on the form so far, and I hope you have enjoyed this session and you will also join the sessions in future. So thank you everyone again for actively participating in the webinar. And just let me mention it once again that if you have filled the registration form or if you haven't filled the registration form, at this point it does not matter. If you just fill uh, the feedback form, of which link I am giving in the live chat, you will be eligible to receive the certificate. But make sure you write the right email address and the right name on the form, on the feedback form, so you can receive the certificate without any problem. And thank you everyone for joining. Yes, you can join her group, and I will be like sharing the group's link on our Facebook page and also on the WhatsApp group. And we also have a Facebook group, so I will be sharing it everywhere after this webinar ends, of course. So I have shared the link. I have got 116 responses, so please fill the form as soon as possible. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Please fill the feedback form, otherwise you won't be receiving the certificate. And if you cannot see the link for some reason, or if you are having some trouble in feedback form, you can email us at linguistics and pedagogy webinars at gmail.com. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. All right. Thank you everyone for such kind comments. Done. Done. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We also have other lectures recordings on our channel. You can also watch that, but of course, you won't be receiving a certificate for it because they are just recordings, and certificates are only for the live sessions. So, thank you again for this comment. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Okay, once you have filled the feedback form, then you can leave this video if you want to. Like, you will be receiving your certificate within a week. Thank you very much. Such an interactive presentation. Thank you very much. You all are also very uh, interactive in this regard. Because of you, this session becomes an interactive session and a live session in a real sense. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining. Done. Thank you very much. And if you would like to join our future webinars which are going to come into September, then you can find details about them on our Facebook page. It's also with Linguistics and Pedagogy Webinars on Facebook. Done. Thank you very much for joining. Thanks. I will use this strategy of asking them to propose what to be done to those who refuse to work with others. Yes, surely. I hope it helps. Good luck. Good evening, and thank you, sir. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you. Thank you very much. Done. Thank you, ma'am. Alright, so I hope you all can find the feedback form. 164 responses we have got on our feedback form. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate you all. Okay, so 52 people are still watching this video. So I hope you all have filled the feedback form. If you have any trouble with it, then please tell me. Or you can also email us at linguistics and pedagogy webinars at gmail.com, but make sure it's within 24 hours of this webinar. Alright, so this is the email address here on the screen if you want to email us. And yes, so thank you very much for joining. Feedback form filled in already. Thank you very much. Thank you from Philippines. Thank you. Yes, we surely will have more webinars like this. And I have also posted about one of the webinar which is on 25th September on our Facebook page. And it is also scheduled here on YouTube. You can also find it on our channel here on YouTube. How long will we receive the certificates? Within a week, you will receive your certificate via email. Like the email which you provide in the feedback form, you will be receiving the certificate on the same email address. It will take up to a week, sometimes less than it. All right, thank you everyone. Okay, so thank you, Cruz. Thank you very much. Bye bye. When can we receive the e-certificate? As I already told, you will get your certificates within a week on your email address which you provided in the feedback form. All right. Okay. If you have sent the feedback form, then it's great. You will be receiving the certificate within a week. Okay. Thank you, Taj. Thank you for joining. Thank you very much. So I hope everyone have filled the feedback form. Still 53 people are watching this video. So if you haven't filled the feedback form, please go and fill it. I have already sent the link in the live chat. I've got 186 responses on the form so far. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you all enjoyed and learned something new which you can now apply in your teaching and also in your studies. And if you have any ideas, like I can see still 56 people are watching, 58 now. So if you have some advice regarding this webinar, except for going live on Zoom, we cannot do that because it is a free webinar, and for live session it will cost a subscription. And like if we have cost, then we also have to make it up. So uh, we will have to make these webinars paid, and we do not want that. We want to provide free education for all of you and free webinar certificates. So that's why we have to continue with YouTube. All right, and if you have any friends who might be interested in joining the session, you can send them the links of the page and you can invite them. And if you have some teachers who you think will be really great to share their experience, their knowledge with all of us, then you can also tell them about this page. They can message us on WhatsApp, or they can email us at Linguistics and Pedagogy Webinars at gmail.com. And if you are a teacher and watching this and you want to share something, you can contact us and we can arrange a webinar. Although Ma'am has left and the webinar has ended, but I would like to answer it uh, as Ma'am did. So in university, after sharing students in group, we still find some not willing to participate. What should be done? So Ma'am said earlier that if you want to avoid such kind of situation, then you should like make the rules and tell the rules to all students before the class starts. For example, you can make a rule that you have to work in the group which I allocate you in. So then later on, they won't have any questions or they won't raise any like demand to change the group or something. Once it's in the rule, then they will be there. I hope that answers it well. Okay, thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you. I have sent my feedback form. Feedback, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And all the people who fill the feedback form will surely receive the certificate within a week. And if you have filled the feedback form, you can leave this video. And there isn't much to watch. Now I'm just waiting for you guys to fill the feedback form. And if you have any problem, then I can answer it. Thank you very much for filling the feedback forms. Getting up early, so early was worth with webinars like this. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir, for joining the webinars. I have seen you join almost all the webinars. Thank you so much for the support, and I hope the webinars bring something useful in your life and your experience and it helps you. Thank you very much for joining. It means a lot. Can a learner-centered teaching be effectively assessed only through written exercises? No, it's not necessary. As ma'am told, you can have rubrics and you can give them presentations or some tasks which they have to do, and then you can give them marks. For example, there was a rubric which I learned about. It was like when you give, if you have a language classroom, for example, English language classroom, you assign them a presentation on some topic, and it's a learner-centered classroom. Then they will like find out about the task, the topic, and then they will give a presentation. And while they are giving a presentation, you can make a rubric that is their pronunciation correct, is their like fluency good, and are is the presentation related to the topic. Then you can mark on such things, and then you can give them an overall grade. So it will not be a written exercise like presentation. They have to speak and research and all the things. Then you can make a rubric and give them marks accordingly. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Good night. Thank you. And when the certificates will be issued, I already told within a week or before in some days, like in 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, depending on how many certificates we have to prepare. And maximum it can take 1 week, but I think it will be before that. We will post on our page, Linguistics and Pedagogy Webinars page. We have on Facebook. We will tell when we have sent the certificates, so you can check your email then. Okay, thank you very much. Now I will be just here for another minute and then I will end this live session. If you haven't filled the feedback form, then please fill it as soon as possible. If you are facing some issue, then you can email us at linguistics and pedagogy webinars at gmail.com. So thank you everyone and bye bye. Take care. Hope to see you on next webinar. Okay, so I'm just commenting the link. feedback form link in live chat. For those who haven't found it yet, all right. So that's it. Thank you for joining. Hope to see you in next webinar, and have a good day or good night ahead. Thank you very much. Bye bye.